I am so excited to be here with the First Lady of Austria. And we were invited by Ambassadoress Donna Nico at the Austrian ball season, which I guess lasts probably about 2-3 months, 4 months. Yeah, and so we got to do all the dance classes. My wife was very good. I was terrible. But Donna and Bill were tremendous. They were just so, so if you ever wanted to, and Austrian ball dancing is like a really big deal. I was so lucky I was in Switzerland where they didn't dance at all. So they said the Swiss are like the Germans without a sense of humor. So anyway, I came because I wanted to tell you 2 stories. A very dear friend of mine whose son is at Williams and daughter's at Wesleyan, and he's been a pal for 35 years. We have breakfast with him about every quarter. And a year ago, we sat for breakfast in Alexandria, and he told me that his wife of 30 years was diagnosed with stage 4 lymphoma, and the worst possible kind, and that the treatments, the doctors have said that they really should start putting affairs in order. And she was 58 years old, I think. And, I comforted him. We talked, and he said he was going to do the best he could at NIH and the like. Well, I kept up with him every couple of weeks talking about it. And 9 months later, we sat at the same restaurant, and he said there's not a trace of lymphoma in her body, that they're completely cured and in remission. They will be watching her, of course, for the years to come. But she went from a death sentence to, at the moment, a complete cure. Part 2, in my last couple of months in Switzerland, the woman I knew from a bank in Alexandria called up and said her husband had been diagnosed with stage 4 multiple myeloma. And he wanted to go on one big hike in Switzerland before he died. And so we set him up to do the Haute Route, which goes 170 miles from Chamonix, France, to Zermatt, Switzerland, over the highest passes in Europe. And I never met him, but he came and he did that. And so I started inviting him on my Appalachian Trail hikes, and I get to know him a little bit. When he got first that diagnosis in March of 2013, 4 oncologists told him to go to hospice. And the 5th oncologist said, let's try some of these new medicines. He's now done 500 miles on the Appalachian Trail with me. He is cancer-free completely, and once again, and on no chemotherapy whatsoever. So I just came to say thank you for saving all these lives and the work that you're doing for lots and lots of Americans all across the country. It is remarkable. I'm older than anybody here. When I was a kid, everybody that got cancer died. And now we're at the point where very few people that get cancer actually die. And it's because of the work that you've been doing year in and year out. So number 1, please don't smoke. That's still the number 1 cause. Number 2, get a lot of sleep. The most important book I read last year is Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. I highly recommend it. And among the things he says is that your chances of getting cancer go down a lot significantly if you get 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. And number 3, please help fight back against any governmental efforts, not partisan, any governmental efforts to cut back what the EPA is protecting us from in terms of airborne pollutants, waterborne pollutants, and things like that. It's just not right to take things that we know are carcinogenic and relax the regulations around us. And finally, the president wants to cut the budget to NIH. I actually think the Democrats and the Republicans are going to put a lot more money in NIH, and specifically the cancer research part of that. So let's keep doing that so that we have a lot more stories to tell about our friends who get cancer and then spend hundreds of miles on the Appalachian Trail. All right, thank you all very much.